right, the Detroit Lions find themselves in the news yet again. They've been in the news a lot this offseason, of course, for a lot of great reasons. A lot of momentum is building for Detroit, and they have made yet another move that I think is really smart. Obviously, I think it's kind of a big move. It made some of the headlines, but I think it's even better and smarter than a lot of people are giving credit for. Kind of a sneaky good move, and I'll explain why in just a second. But Miles, I think this is just another example of the Detroit Lions doing everything right as they continue to build momentum.
Yeah, Nick, I think the Detroit Lions really got off to a fast start to the offseason. They made a really lot of great moves here. But, speaking of fast starts to the offseason, getting things in motion early on, I want to ask the Detroit Lions fans in the comment section below today, who is the fastest Lion in Detroit history? Let us know. There's a lot of great answers out there. I want you to, hit us with some deep cuts if you can. But who is the guy who had the most speed on the Detroit Lions in the history of this team? Let us know in the comment section below. But Nick, let's get on into it. Let's talk about the Detroit Lions and what kind of moves they have just made.
Yeah, so the Lions, you brought up speed, Miles. The Lions have actually recently added a speed guide to the fold. If you want to go ahead and throw up the report from the Detroit Free Press, I will read from it. All right, the Detroit Lions have acquired veteran wide receiver Denzel Mims from the New York Jets via trade, the team announced on Thursday. Mims had 42 catches for 676 yards and no touchdowns in 3 seasons in New York. He appeared in 10 games and caught 11 passes last year, but could help a Lions receiving core this fall that will be without Jameson Williams for the first 6 games of the regular season. Obviously, Williams is suspended. The Lions traded a conditional 6th-round pick to the Jets for Mims and a 7th-rounder. All right, Miles, this is why it's a great move. And look, you've heard a lot of people when this move came across, almost reports as, oh, this is just a depth move for the Detroit Lions. They needed another wide receiver with Williams suspended. That's part of it. But one of the things you have to understand as we're into this time of year, getting ready for training camp, every offensive staff, and the Lions fall into this boat, just as everybody does, is trying to figure out what plays and what offensive structure, how their offense is going to be set up the entire regular season. Basically, what different plays and different play combinations they're going to have in the fold. And obviously, when Jameson Williams is available, he's going to be a big part of the Lions offense. His playmaking ability, take the top of a defense, all those kind of things. That's exactly what Johnson and company want to have integrated in their offense. The problem is, Miles, he's going to be gone for the first 6 games of the regular season. So they're in kind of a pickle here. Do they try and coach and build up an offense that's going to be without Jameson Williams and then just run that for 6 games and hope to integrate him when he comes back? Or do they use training camp to just plug him, run the Williams offense with him in the fold now and then just say, hey, we'll just figure out what happens over the first 6 games, even though Williams won't be there? That's kind of a recipe for disaster, right? Because you're kind of in between 2 bad situations. Instead, what the Lions did is they got a Jameson Williams light player. Mims is a speed guy. He ran a 4.3 40. He's a big play potential guy. He didn't work out for the New York Jets, but let's be honest, a lot of talented wide receivers haven't worked out for the New York Jets, especially with their disaster of a quarterback position over the last 2-3 years or so. This is a guy who, when he lines up for the Detroit Lions, opposing defenses will have to respect him. They will have to treat him like a Jameson Williams. He won't be as good, not as explosive, but close enough to where the Detroit Lions can integrate him in Williams's position for those first 6 games. So the Lions will be able to plug and coach their entire standard offense that they would have with Jameson Williams throughout all training camp, and they can coach it with Williams and have Mims slide into that spot as well. And Mims will play that position, my opinion here, throughout Williams' suspension. And when Williams comes back, he'll just slide in and the offense won't miss a beat. I think this is a great move by the Detroit Lions, recognizing that it's so important to make sure they get all the offense put in the right way from day one. And I think for what, a conditional 6th-round pick and a 7th-rounder, that's a steal in my book to get that kind of flexibility there. But I'll throw it over to you, Miles. What do you think of this move by the Detroit Lions and just everything with the offense right now?
Yeah, Nick, I think this is a really great move. Truly, low risk, low reward type move for the Lions. There's no sweat off their backs if it doesn't work out because, as you said, conditional 6th-round pick here. That means that if Mims does not work out, if he does not make the 53-man roster, then they don't have to send that draft pick over to the Jets. They basically get him for free. So I think that was a really interesting move, a good price for the product for the Lions. But this guy could have the potential to perform over expectation. I think there's a lot of utilization that was missed out in New York for Mims. Like you said, they have not had a great quarterback throwing to him at all. Last year was pretty disappointing, but how could you have a great season last year when you're behind Garrett Wilson and you have a combination of, Joe Flacco, Mike White, and Zach Wilson throwing you the ball? I don't really know how you're supposed to succeed there if you are Mims. But Mims, coming out of Baylor, he is a talented player, so I think that this guy can fit in nicely as a Jameson Williams light, as you say. And I think this guy can really help install that game plan so that the Lions can come and not skip a beat when week 7 rolls around. I think this is a really great move by the Lions, just showing smart leadership, doing smart moves to make this team run as smoothly as possible now that they hit a little bit of controversy with the Williams suspension. So I think they're making the best for what they have, and they've just masterfully navigated this move.
Yeah, I just want to highlight here the importance of having a guy in who can run that position, be that Williams player. Because one of the things, and look, when I played college football, there were a number of times during training camp, and it's very similar to NFL in terms of how you install an offense and things like that. There were times where we had an injury at a key position, like a running back or a quarterback, and our offensive coordinator would just be so upset. He basically would like stop installing the offense because he knew it just the timing would be off, the play would be ruined, it just wouldn't be worth installing, and it would throw everybody for a loop because you want to make sure you have the right players for the offense you're trying to install at that moment in time. Jameson Williams is the right player, obviously, for what they want. But like I said, he won't be there. Mims can replace him perfectly throughout training camp. Obviously, Williams can practice, but also do some reps with Williams and then replace them for the first 6 games of the regular season. This is absolutely crucial because otherwise the Lions would have to divvy up resources. They'd have to spend time doing a completely different offensive scheme. That would degrade the quality of their offense. And look, we know they're going to have to come out of the gate swinging. They start with the Kansas City Chiefs. So again, the fact that they made this move and recognized that this was the right time to do it is credit to Holmes, credit to the Lions front office. I think this is a great move by Detroit as we're getting ready for training camp.